Hey everyone, Professor Snart checking in here on this frigid Tuesday. You will probably have noticed that classes were canceled for Monday and Tuesday, although that doesn't really affect us for good or for bad. So we keep pressing on through our course, which I'll just take a look at here as far as our due dates. We are just coming out of Unit 3, the shape of the essay, where you had your first short writing assignment, the paragraph. And now getting into Unit 4, continuing with our look at Sherman Alexie's short story Flight Patterns. So we now look at our next due date, which is Thursday, January 30th. Again, a relatively quick turnaround. So if we look at Unit 4, we'll find that in addition to ultimately kind of continuing to talk about Alexie's flight patterns, you'll notice that, pardon me, it's so dry, I'm dying here. The first thing that you'll see here in Unit 4 is kind of a look back at Unit 3 as far as some of the common mistakes that tend to come up in the paragraph that we were looking at from Unit 3. So a lot of it very, minor, basic kinds of things, but citation or quotation related, and really pointing to kind of getting just those basic, pieces of the paragraph in place. So in a lot of cases, you will have gotten a grade back and not maybe a lot of particular feedback, but in most cases, you might have made, if you lost points anywhere, it might have been for some of these kinds of common mistakes. If you either think you didn't make these or are just unsure about the grade itself, by all means be in touch with me and I can give you some more detailed feedback about your particular paragraph. So we get into Unit 4 then, beyond just the look back at Unit 3, has us looking at this sample student essay in PDF form. Again, kind of looking at the type of essay that we'll be writing for this course. So it's a good model to follow. It's probably not perfect by any means, but it gives you a sense of the kind of the scope, the approach, the tone, the use of quotation, for example, citation, and that kind of thing. And then there's a short quiz about that sample student essay. Then there's a little bit of material here about thesis statements, which of course are going to be huge for us in terms of the argumentative or interpretive analytical style of writing that we're doing. The writing process, again, just more sort of content in the course here. As I mentioned, there's really no one, correct quote-unquote writing process. The biggest thing that I want you to be aware of is that you do in fact have a writing process, even if you don't think about it. And to make sure that it's effective for you, if you are one of those people who seemingly always ends up, writing essays, there's no real order to what you're doing, and especially if you don't end up with the results that you want, or it seems to be way more nerve-wracking and exhausting than it really has to be, it's likely a problem with your process, and maybe the problem is that you really haven't even thought about what that process is. So sometimes just being a little more conscious and intentional about such things is really helpful, which is really what this piece of the unit is all about. There's a reading from our textbook having to do again with kind of essays in the big picture. A very brief quiz. The questions and answers are drawn almost verbatim from the reading, so just have the book open in front of you. It's really not a test of your ability to memorize or that kind of thing. And I'd never really expect you to memorize a lot of that stuff. As I've said before, what matters is that you can put it into practice when you're actually writing, not can you take a test on it. And then finally, getting back to the short story here, I think the major component of this unit then is this discussion board, again, just having us think a little more deeply about that story, answer some slightly more specific questions about it, and then obviously get the chance to kind of dialogue or share some posts and responses amongst our class as a group. So again, hopefully think of this as sort of further brainstorming about the short story itself. Okay, so as always, if you have questions or concerns, be in touch with me, and hopefully we will be back kind of on a grander scale to normal once school gets going. Although, again, we weren't maybe directly affected by school closings, but obviously the weather kind of throws a monkey wrench into uh, daily life. So anyway, hopefully things are going okay, and I'll talk to everybody soon.